This regular meeting of the Coralville City Council to order, please. September 24th, 2019. Roll call.
Councilmember Foster, Gross, Gill.
Present.
Dodds.
Present.
Goodrich.
Here.
Okay, two council members are absent, Foster and Gross, and we expect them both momentarily. Councilmember Foster teaches a course on the campus of the university that, depending on how close a parking space she can get to her class, depends. And she said she was going to be a couple minutes late tonight. And Councilmember Gross is the associate principal across the street at Northwest Junior High, and he was just finishing up an event over there and said he was on his way. So I expect both of them to arrive at any time. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda with a change, amend item 14A from 500,315 to 492,368. That's item 14A.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Goodrich. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved. Item 4 is citizen comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to us tonight about an item that's not already on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have a very special item next to recognize a Coralville resident who served on the Coralville Library for 27 years. Lisa Martin. Here comes Councilmember Gross. Thank you, just in time. Lisa Martin was a long-time 27-year member of the Coralville Library Board, served the city incredibly well. Unfortunately, we lost her last week, and that's just terrible news. But nevertheless, we were going to honor her anyway. Even we were hoping that we could do it with her here, but we can't. But we certainly will do it now with her families here, and just want you to know how much we thank you for Lisa's service over the years. I was on the library board. Well, I've been on the council 10 years and mayor 16 years, and I served with Lisa, so that gives you some idea of how long Lisa was on the library board. And several of our council members over those years have been the liaison to the library board and worked with Lisa. So with no further ado, I'd like to read the certificate of appreciation. Whereas Lisa Paterno Martin was appointed to the Coralville Library Board of Trustees in 1992. And whereas Lisa served as the Board of Trustees Vice President for 4 years and Board President from 2015 through 2017. And whereas Lisa served the library and the citizens of Coralville for 27 years as a library board member. Whereas Lisa's service included board oversight of the planning and expansion of the library facility 2005 to 2008. And whereas Lisa's volunteer service has extended well beyond the board meetings to assisting with library events and activities. Whereas Lisa further demonstrated her commitment and generosity to the library through her 13 years of service on the Coralville Public Library Foundation Board of Directors. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, John A. Lundell, Mayor of the City of Coralville, do hereby recognize Lisa Paterno Martin for her dedication, contributions, and service to the City of Coralville and the Coralville Public Library. Her dedication, service, and generosity of spirit have made a profound impact on our library and our community. Signed this 24th day of September 2019, John A. Lundell, Mayor. I would welcome Lisa's husband, Mike, to come up and receive this if you'd like. And Mike, if you'd like to say a few words, or I know there's library board members that may want to say a few words, but thank you. Thank you very
much. I know that I can say this for sure, that besides her family, her work, her job at EPI, her work on the library board was probably the most important thing to her, and I appreciate this.
Oh, thank you very much. Does anyone else like to speak, and if somebody wants a photo, we can take a time out to do that as well.
Oh, we would love to do a photo with the family, if you don't mind. I just wanted to express my deep appreciation for Lisa's service. We miss her immensely. Sorry. She just had such a profound understanding of the need the needs of the community in terms of library service, and her background and just her general outlook. It was just a perfect fit in terms of knowing the direction that the library needed to go and the support that the library needs to function in the many ways that we serve the public. And I'm just really grateful I had the opportunity to serve under her. She was on the board the entire time that I've been the director. She served as a board member for half the time that the library has been around. It's been around 54 years, so it's just a really significant contribution. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Allison. Well put.
Mayor, do you mind if I say something?
Sure.
First of all, I just wanted to say to Mike and the family, is Michaela back there? I can't see if there's someone. Yeah. First of all, I have my Paisley tie on in honor of Lisa. But I thought the service on Saturday, I'm not sure if I've been to a memorial service that's encapsulated somebody so well and so poignantly as Saturday's service. And I've found myself thinking so much about Lisa and her service. And I think about a public servant, and she embodied that word servant so well through so many different facets of our community. And I was just hearkening back as I got back from the service, just talking to my wife about it, and it just took me back to the time of now almost, it was in 2007 when I first ran for council, and I met with Bob and Sue Dvorsky, and they gave me a list of 20 people I needed to make sure I connected with, and Mike and Lisa Martin were on that list, and I think it was because of just the impact that you've had on our community as a family and as Lisa's service. And I know we all have great memories, but I just want to personally say thank you for giving her to us and sharing her with us, because it's a lot of time to be so sliced thin so many times. And she was involved in so many things, but she really, really made Coralville such a better place to live. Thank you.
Mitch? Anyone else, either in the audience or the council, like to say anything? Okay. I know we have many library board members that came out to show their respects. So, Allison, do you want to do a quick? Okay, we'll do that real quick here. And I guess who would you like in it?
Mayor and family,
Okay.
and I can be in the photo if you want. And board members.
Yeah.
Let's make it a big photo.
Good.
Great.
In that case, I'm going to use my library liaison board.
Okay.
Yeah. Must be some inside intelligence about Paisley ties or something. Okay, good, great, Brad, I'd like to hear those.
If I get one here first.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Wait a second, we need Ellen.
Oh, in the picture, yeah.
We even brought up professional.
There we go.
All right, one more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you. Thanks again. You got it.
You're the little boy, Candy.
Any and all are welcome to stay, but we won't feel bad if you choose to leave, so. Okay, item 6 is 2 proclamations this evening. The first one on the list is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I'd like to read this, please. Proclamation, City of Coralville. Whereas domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking affects women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds, causing long-term physical, psychological, and emotional harm. And whereas 1 in 3 Americans has witnessed an incident of domestic violence. And whereas children who experience domestic violence are at a higher risk for failure in school, mental illness, substance abuse, suicide, and may choose violence as a way to solve the problems later in life. And whereas domestic violence in rural communities exists as a hidden, silent, and often unrecognized crime that is often underreported. Whereas through the inspiration, courage, and persistence of victims of domestic violence, their children and advocates, our communities are learning to recognize the impact of violence in the home and within intimate relationships. And whereas the Domestic Violence Intervention Program has worked to end violence in intimate relationships for more than 40 years through the collaborative partnerships of advocates, volunteers, local municipalities, criminal justice, health and human services, faith communities, business leaders, and private citizens. And whereas our community's achievements should be commended, and we must continue our commitment to respect and support victims of domestic violence and to prevent further violence in our community. Now therefore, I, John A. Lundell, Mayor of the City of Coralville, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2019 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Coralville, and urge all citizens to work together to eliminate domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking from our community. Signed this 24th day of September. John A. Lundell, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. If you'd like to come up and receive this, and feel free to say a few words at the podium.
So there's our two-sided calendar of events, and then Coralville staff, and then I brought stickers for you guys as well. Sure they do.
Great. Thank you very much for coming.
Nadia is a local advocate that I brought with me.
Oh, look, and Megan just magically appeared once you proclaimed it Domestic Violence Awareness Month. At the back. What a pleasure. Thank you all so much for declaring October Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We greatly we are grateful for the support of Coralville over all of these years, and your funding has certainly helped us in order to reach as many people as we have.
By the way, could you introduce yourself?
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I am Alta Medea Peters. I'm the Director of Community Engagement for the Domestic Violence Intervention Program. My apologies for not doing that first. I just get really excited when I get to talk about something I'm passionate about. In the past year, on the papers that I handed out, you'll see that we had an increase of services within Coralville over the last year of about 10. And that is because of increased funding, we're able to have more advocates, and the more people that are talking about domestic violence, the more likely that victim survivors get our 1-800 phone number in order to reach us and get the safety planning and resources they need to find safety. I asked Nadia to join me today and have her share a little bit about the work she is doing here in Coralville, and then we'd love to answer any questions you might have about the handouts as well.
Thank you, Alta.
Thanks, Alta.
Hello, Nadia.
So I'm Nadia. I'm an advocate here in Johnson County. I primarily work with law enforcement and the courts to provide services and support to survivors and victims of domestic violence. In addition to that, I also provide counseling, safety planning, crisis intervention. I work very closely with the Iowa City Police Department on our domestic assault response team. I also work pretty closely with the Coralville Police Department, Campus PD, North Liberty PD, just all of them here in Johnson County. And that's to work towards a collaborative response. In addition to that, we also have a shelter in the area that houses up to 40 individuals, including children. And we also have a crisis line, which is 24/7, which is often how people reach us for the first time. So that's just a little bit about what I do and what our team of advocates do. Alta is director of the community engagement team, so they get to do events and spreading awareness and education and bringing me here to introduce myself to you all. So I thank her for that. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you all might have about our work or any of the services available to Johnson County residents.
Thank you, Nadia. Any comments from the audience or from the council?
I just want to say I'm really proud to be a board member of DVIP. I actually just joined the board this year, and I have been so very impressed with the work that this organization does. The 40th anniversary celebration that we just had Friday night was a huge success. Great work to Alta and your team, everybody on the DVIP staff for that event and for all of the great work you do in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well
Yeah.
put. Thank you for your work in our community, and thanks for working with the Coralville Police Department as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to just do a little plug for the Coralville Hy-Vees, plural, because you have two now.
Yes, we do.
We have our Shop for Shelter event on October 5th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That is when we get about 9 months worth of supplies for the victim survivors that we serve. So toilet paper, formula, pretty much spaghetti sauce, goldfish crackers, everything you could need to keep a family running. And we have 40 families at any given time, so 40 individuals that we help. So we encourage people to sign up to volunteer, but also stop by your Hy-Vee, support your local Coralville businesses. Last year, Coralville did win. We have a little internal contest between stores, and so you guys do get an applause from us for winning last year. We'll see if you can hold on to the title this year. Thank you all so much.
You bet.
Not,
Thanks
not
for
to put
coming
you
out
on the
tonight.
spot, but do you have a date for the Super Bowl yet?
I do. It is February 20th, and it will be at the Coralville Marriott.
Yeah, so if you've not been to the DVIP Super Bowl, it's probably my favorite event of the year. From that, it's an amazing night.
Yeah, we are excited. Last year we had such a huge turnout that we had to move to the Marriott, and they have opened their arms and given us everything we needed. The line to wait to get in will be indoors this year, which I think is really the most exciting part. And we'll have over 40 soups and sort of the usual things that everybody loves, just a little bit more elbow room around the table. So thank you, Mitch. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Okay. One more proclamation this evening, and this is for United Way of Johnson and Washington counties. Whereas for 100 years since 1919, United Way of Johnson and Washington counties has strived to ensure that our community's important health and human services needs are met in an atmosphere of mutual respect and trust. And whereas the historic roles of United Way of Johnson and Washington counties include providing leadership in identifying and prioritizing community needs in the city of Coralville, and bringing together community leaders, businesses, local government, community organizations, and committee individuals in a unified effort to solve problems for those needs in our communities. And whereas in partnership between the community at large and United Way of Johnson, Washington counties includes emphasis on long-lasting community solutions in education, financial stability, and health through a charitable giving and volunteer engagement. And whereas United Way of Johnson and Washington counties engages and mobilizes donor investments to support organizations and nonprofit partners. And whereas United Way of Johnson and Washington counties is actively involved in community disaster preparedness and provides important disaster assistance and volunteer coordination in the aftermath of a disaster. And whereas the citizens of the city of Coralville receive great benefit, assistance, and services from the many United Way partner agencies. And whereas this celebration will provide the opportunity for citizens to reflect on the United Way of Johnson and Washington counties' accomplishments over the past 100 years and join United Way to continue building on our successes and move into our second century of service. Now therefore I, John A. Lundell, Mayor of the City of Coralville, do hereby proclaim October 1st, 2019 to be United Way of Johnson and Washington Counties Day in celebration of their 100th year of service, and urge all citizens to recognize their significant contribution in the community. Signed this 24th day of September 2019, John A. Lundell. Coming forward is someone we all know and recognize, Ms. Patty Fields. Been with United Way for a number of years, not quite 100. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words, Patty? Sure. Okay.
So first of all, on behalf of you said my name. So I'm Patty Fields, the Vice President for Impact and Engagement, United Way of Johnson and Washington Counties. So on behalf of the United Way of Johnson and Washington Counties Board of Directors, which includes our Kelly Hayworth, we thank the City of Coralville for proclaiming October 1st, 2019 as United Way of Johnson and Washington Counties Day in celebration of our 100th year. And we are incredibly proud of the 100-year continuous history of volunteers and donors coming together to help people by solving community problems together. And the city of Coralville has played a key role in supporting United Way in achieving this milestone. So we thank you, and we also look forward to our continued partnership as we start our second century of service. So thank you very much.
Great. Well, congratulations.
Patty, do you want to just mention, because you're going to have a large celebration in February?
Yes, yes. So, yeah, February seems to be the month, right?
Yes.
So coming on February 8th is the culmination of the 100th year at the Coralville Marriott. And so you're certainly welcome to come to that. That is going to be a event to end all events. There'll be all kinds of rooms that really celebrate those 100th years. So there'll be rooms for the 20s, the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on. So it will be a lot of fun, and we hope to see you all there.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay.
Can
now
we
we're going to move on
possibly-
to the business of the
Excuse me.
evening. Item 7 is
Mr. Mayor, you're being
Could
interrupted.
we get a photo of the United Way staff with you?
We can if
for
you
this
want.
probably- Yeah.
Well, it was the keynote speaker, John, for this year, but I'll pass, yeah. Actually, I'm basically in it. So.
Who's that guy snuck up? Photobomb.
Okay, now item 7. Property sale. This is a public hearing and then a resolution for a proposed sale of city property to Blue Sky Developers Incorporated for the development of 3 single-family homes with 2-car garages. The cost of each lot will be $10,000. Item A is a public hearing on the disposal of an interest in real property being lots 20, 21, and 54, Summit Hills Edition. I'll open the public hearing. Are there any comments this evening? Please sign in and introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Melody Witt. I live next door to 2 of the lots. I was hoping there'd be more information. This was all I found, and I was kind of hoping to see site plans, and I'd like to know if all the houses are going to look like this, and if they're all going to be cookie cutter. 6/12 pitch to the roof. Am I going to have any sunlight left in my yard? Those kinds of things.
I was going to tell you, the agreement is tied to the plans for those lots that are tied to the plans that you have that were on the packet. So the types of houses that will be on there are the ones that you have in your hand.
Well, it's just this one.
Yeah, I think it's the same. Blaine's going to talk about the houses
Okay.
too. Yep.
Well, I should have let Blaine go first then.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Now, if I might, Melody, are you the young lady that called me and talked about your garage? Yes. Cool. Okay. Hello again, City of Coralville Council. I'm Blaine Thomas. I appreciate all of you supporting me for a long time. Thank you very much. Melody, as I told you on the phone, I do have some ideas for how to work with your concern for a garage at your home, and I've already approached some city staff members about it, and I'm going to continue, as I promised you, to search for that answer. I believe that what I will be asking on your behalf will be within reason. None of you here know about that just yet. It's coming up. Okay. So Kevin, can you pull that up, if you would, please? Does anybody, you have it in your packet?
I put it in the electronic packet.
As long as you have it in your packet, okay. Does everybody else have it if they have any questions? If anybody has any questions, I can lay it out. Okay, here we go. So, to answer your question about the houses, the lots are very, very challenging because they're 60 by 120. And 60 by 120 lends to the same difficulty that you have had, which is that you want a 2-car garage. Originally, when I had these things planned, Lori, I look at you because when I had them planned, I had some of them set forth with a single-car garage. But as I drive these neighborhoods, I hear that people need storage, right? I get it. But when you try to put a ranch-style home on a 60-foot wide lot with a 2-car garage, what we see is garage, and that's it. So how can we accommodate the requests of the public, the needs of the homeowners, and still be more affordable? Mitch, I want to be very careful with the term affordable housing because you see everybody spends from a different checkbook. So our goal here is the city of Coralville is working with me as a developer on the price of the lots, and I am foregoing profitability. The goal is to not have gentrification. It's very important to me to be able to work with the neighbors and possibly look at setbacks that are in play in other older parts of the Coralville area, 614 10th Avenue, where I grew. We had a garage in the back, to maybe see if there might be a consideration with the Board of Adjustment so that we can help other people that are already there with their homes already built that want a place to put their things. Can we do that? Sunshine, fortunately, you're uphill from me. So the rooftop, can I promise you that? Well, no, I've done shadow stories before, but just because the sun rises in the east once again and sets in the west, which is where you're at, the westerly sun is what's going to capture your garden, which I saw that today when I was walking the lots. Can I tell you that you won't have any shadowing at all? No, I don't want to make you that promise, but I think that it's pretty reasonable because your house faces, the back of it faces due west, so I think you'll be all right. Regarding the style of the homes, yours, I'm sorry, let me think about that. Oh, I understand. Okay, well then I certainly would not think that you would have a problem, either which way. Regarding the design of the houses, well, because of the encumbrances that come with the lot shape, there's not a whole lot of flavors that can be put on it, but what we can do is address the exterior. I'm sorry to use the terminology cookie cutter because I think that diminishes the value of the thing. I've seen so many of these homes in a cohesive nature that have been built to complement one another, particularly in Tiffin, where these houses are selling for $300,000. I'd like to say that. Because united as a team with the city of Coralville, we're coming in at $210,000. That's under $1,300 a month for a single-family, new construction, no deferred maintenance home. There are none of them available in this county in that price point, 0. And it's not just for anyone, you see. Excuse me, it's not just for affordable clientele, if you will. There are no income requirements. Mayor Lundell, if you wish to downsize. Megan Foster, if you wish to move. If you have a family member that's looking for a home that's more affordable than where they are now, you see, there are no requirements. You're giving something and I'm giving something so that we can propel a neighborhood that has not had any forward propulsion in a while to have some now. And I think it's great. I drive to that neighborhood, thank you, Ellen, because it was Ellen, you see, that showed this to me. I don't know that it was intentional, but as we were at another meeting, we were going through some sites that Coralville had, and I said, hey, wait a minute. What a location. Can we agree with that? Really? It deserves to be done. We deserve to offer more affordable housing. I have a lot of clients that rent from me. They have a lot of services that are taken care of that don't come with home ownership, snow removal, lawn care, all of these things, and they pay a fee as part of their rent for that service. However, these people that would like to own these homes can take care of their own lawn care, snow removal, cable, internet, trash, and all these things, right? And still be in the same ballpark as someone who is choosing to rent, which is a choice now, not something that has to be done, which you see. Because if they want to afford to own a home with the responsibilities that come forth with it, we are making it so that they can. Today, when I toured the development, I looked at the number of lots that could be achieved at that, and have already started to run the calculations because it is my intention to move forward. I understand what the cost will be to put in the rest of the roads, the sewer, the water, the electric, and all of the encumbrances that come with it. So you see, after I proved to you, just like people thought that I might have been a little off kilter when I said 808, I can make this happen. I received a phone call from one of you in this room that says, hey, Blaine, can you really do this? Yeah, I can really do this. And what was one building was two, was three, was 4, and we broke attendance records this year at the 5th Street Social. Thank you so much for everybody who came out to that. So can we do this? Yes. Can we do it without gentrification? Absolutely, we sure can. It is my goal to finish out the development. I'm going to start with these 3 homes. I had to work with a fellow developer friend of mine, which is why the plan says RA Holdings on it. Had already paid to have the other one made, you see. So when I met with my friend Tyler Rogers, he said, hey, Blaine, you know, let's look at this a little bit differently. And it was the information that we shared that came up with this plan. But here's what we can do for the next round of them. We'll amend the front of them a bit. I don't know exactly, change the roof pitch, things like this. I really don't know what could be done because you see, if I go to the well and start changing things on that plan there, what I do is I add cost to the end user.
Blaine, let's.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry, John. Mayor Lundell, I could go on for hours. So, I don't know how long it's been either, forgive me. Okay, so the general, so I hear where you're coming from and having the plan design changed a little bit along the way, and it is my intention to do that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about this particular one.
Yes, you are. You always
Okay.
are.
Does anybody have any questions for me?
We'll bring you back up if they do.
Okie dokie.
Please speak to the podium and make it brief, please.
Sorry for running long.
If it could be a discussion you hold privately, that would be okay too, but go ahead if you want, if you feel like you need to speak.
Oh, well, this is one thing I didn't cover with him when we had our visit before, but north of me, when you get up toward the fire training facility, there's a little blowback from that when they have a fire. I mean, there's ash on the cars. If those lots are going to be developed, you know, you should bear that in mind. And I asked about site plans. Parking is such a premium on our street. The lady across the street from me has, I don't know, 4 or 5 grown sons, and they seem to perpetually be out of work and moving back in with her, and her entire front yard is a parking lot. The other neighbor across has 2 teenage kids, and his in-laws live with him, so there's a lot of vehicles over there. And I'm guilty myself when it's football season and my children come to visit me en masse. I can maybe budge 4 cars into my driveway, but that's not enough. So, you know, if there's places for people to park, that's great. And that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Parking's always a concern. Anyone else like to speak tonight to this project? Are there any written comments?
No, Richard.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing then and consider the resolution, Don.
Resolution approving the disposal of certain real property legally described as lots 20, 21, and 54, Summit Hills Edition, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion?
Yes, I'd like to thank Blaine Thomas for stepping forward and doing this project. This is a private entity stepping forward and doing affordable housing, and thank you, Blaine. The other thing is, I was kind of concerned about the garages because your uncle and dad lived down the street from me, and they never had a garage. So I was just wondering if you really know how to build a garage. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
I just hope this is setting a precedent. So, again, you're being a leader in our community, and thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think a lot of times we hear from developers that they can't do this or don't want to do this, and you're showing that we can do it. So we appreciate it. And thanks for expressing your concerns too, because we want to make sure that everyone's listening, cognizant of the impact of other folks as well. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you, Blaine. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Roll call?
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 8 is 112 10th Avenue. This is a building report and P&Z report and a public hearing and an ordinance for a property located at the south end of 10th Avenue behind King's Materials for a project involving 220 storage units, and building official Jim Kessler is going to speak to this.
All right, I'm going to go over the site and the site plan with you, council members. First, I've got the location map up to where it is. This is 10th Avenue, Highway 6, King's Materials. So we're talking about this lot that is behind King's Materials. It's about a 7-acre lot. It's about 1.5 acres of this actual lot that is not in the floodway. So that's only about 1.5 acres of a 7-acre lot that's actually developable. So that's the location of it. So this area here is what the rezoning request is for, to rezone this from I district to an IPUD district in order to put multiple buildings on these on this lot. So this, once again, is just the rezoning exhibit that I just explained to you, just a little bit different orientation of the lot. So the development we're looking at is for a series of buildings containing storage units. Coming down from the intersection of 10th Avenue and Highway 6 to the south. This will be it's a paved road at this point in time. Doesn't quite reach the development, so it will be finished off to be a concrete paved road. The drives around the buildings will be all paved with PCC concrete. And then, as you can see the layouts of the building, there are rows of storage units. A row here, there's a double row here, facing back to back, a small unit on the end, and then there's these units here facing to the south. This is Clear Creek down here to the south, so that's where we're getting the floodway from. We're getting the floodwaters from Clear Creek. The buildings are oriented. This building is oriented toward, the back of this building is oriented toward Highway 6. The developer has planned to build these buildings. All the views of the buildings that do not face a highway, that face outward will be of a brick and stone, thin set brick and stone. I will show you the buildings here in a minute. And these buildings will be back to back. So when you're looking at these buildings, this elevation of this building, this elevation, this elevation, this elevation will be all overhead doors like a typical storage building will be. So they're long, narrow buildings oriented like this. So as we go through this, a lot of this is just kind of engineering. So this is the look of the buildings as you're seeing it. See if we can blow these up a little bit. So this is the north elevation of the building. So the north elevation of a building, as you can see, this north elevation would face Highway 6. You can see that it is the thin set materials. The south elevation of this building, as you can see, that's all overhead doors. So, and then the end elevation, the east end of the building will be partially brick and then partially a cement board siding type material. Another view of the buildings, north elevation of the back-to-back buildings. So this would be the north elevation, this would be the south elevation, the end elevation of the west elevation. What you can see is the thin set material with the pitched roof here. These are standing seam metal roofs. Once again, you're seeing the overhead doors.
just more elevations of the building. I think that probably pretty much is what I have here. Landscaping plan that we're looking at, this is a revised landscaping plan. I think you have this landscaping plan in your packet, though. As you can see, there's a row of trees along here. There's two different variations of this building. There's one with the 10 trees planted along the back. I think there's one with just the 5 trees planted along the back, or half the amount of trees. I think the developer feels there, as long as he's putting all the thin set materials on these buildings, he doesn't feel that he should be required to put all 10 trees on the back, but just cut the trees down because it's basically hiding his materials on these buildings. Once again, this is just a area of the site plan of the building. So that's what I have on the site plan for you folks. We have other bits of vegetation around these buildings, or planting around these buildings. Around here, you can see planting. You can see planting around here and planting around here on the buildings. Unfortunately, you're not going to see any planting in the center of these areas because it's all concrete or doorways. So there basically isn't any place to do any planting materials in there the way it's designed. I kind of want to get off of this one to you and go back, because there's one thing I did not mention when I was showing the site plan. Two things I want to mention to you. First of all, this is, and Kevin's going to speak to this here in just a second, this is actually in the Town Center District. The Town Center District runs along Highway 6, the north side of Highway 6, all the way from 20th Avenue clear down to almost First Avenue. This is all Town Center District. This is a piece of Town Center District that is service commercial on the south side of Highway 6. It's the only piece of the Town Center District we have on this side of the highway. I did want to mention that, and Kevin's going to go into that more later. Another thing I wanted to mention, if I didn't show you any stormwater on this, because the developer has decided to do, should he be approved, the fee in lieu of, which is he will pay a fee per acre that we can use someplace else on stormwater rather than put stormwater on here. That's pretty much all I have to show you as far as the elevations are concerned, and Kevin wants to speak a little bit about the Town Center District.
Yes, as the council all knows, in 1995, the council adopted the Town Center district plan by ordinance. So this ordinance and this property has been in that Town Center district plan for almost 25 years. As Jim said, this is in Zone 6 of the Town Center District. If you look on the maps I provided for you, it's the orange. It says Zone 6 Service Commercial on the maps there. I just wanted to read to you from the plan what the overall goal of redevelopment of this Zone 6 is. Zone 6 consists of the Highway 6 accessed and fronted property. It's an important area of redevelopment of the Town Center District, as Highway 6 remains the primary conduit that will convey out-of-town traffic through the Town Center District. Therefore, the development adjacent to the section of Highway 6 will be the front yard of the district. Primary uses of the I-2 zoning district and limited uses of the C2 district are intended uses of this zone. Moreover, the development must put its best face forward to the highway. Architectural and landscape development considerations must comply with district design guidelines. This property should be packaged and offered for competitive proposals to develop an office, industrial, or arterial commercial planned unit development. The principal criteria for the proposal should focus on the unified site development architectural theme that presents the character and image of the district to the highway view. As you know, this Zone 6 has multiple property owners, and this is just one of the parcels in there. As I read to you earlier, the goal of this plan all the way back 25 years ago is to develop this as a office, industrial, or arterial commercial planned unit development district. If this development goes forward as piecemeal, obviously that goal will be frustrated, because any redevelopment of the plan calls for unified redevelopment of that area there. So obviously architectural landscape, and this town center was supposed to be, the boundaries are based on walkability and pedestrian friendliness of this whole area. And as we've gone through this, it's taken a long time, but as you know, there's been the town square, the city center, the 808 properties, and we're still continuing to develop more properties in this area. So, so when the council looks at this development on top of just the PUD that's required to be in the town center, right, the council also should look at the town center district plan to guide its decision on whether this is an appropriate proposal for the Zone 6 in the town center district plan.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Jim, you want to say anything more?
I didn't give you the planning and zoning.
No, you
Commission
didn't.
report. It was 6-0 in, to recommend to the council for approval.
Thank you. Okay, item C is the public hearing on this rezoning from I-2 Light Industrial District to IPUD2 Industrial Planned Unit Development 2 District, and for a PUDB site plan. With that, I'll open the public hearing for comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak to us tonight? Any written comments? Okay, would you like to speak? Okay.
Mark Kofi.
Yeah, please go to the microphone. Huh?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mark Kothi with Kothi Investments. The plan that you see in front of you has met and exceeded anything that I've been asked to do on this project from day one. The trees are, to me, yes, excessive if I'm bricking the back of the wall, but you know what? If that's what it takes, that's what it is. I don't plan on building a metal shack down there. I plan on building something that's nice. It's an 1.5 acres. It's not 7 acres. You know, it's much smaller than the area, you know, takes up as a whole. But I don't have a lot to add. I already did at planning and zoning, and unless you have questions, I don't think I have anything to go further with. But I'm happy to answer any questions if need be.
Okay, we'll have council discussion. We may invite you back up there,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Any written?
No written.
Okay. I will close the public hearing then, and we'll start by having the first consideration of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2019-1012, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as 112 10th Avenue from I-2 Light Industrial District to IPUD2 Industrial Plan Unit Development 2 District, is introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion. Any council discussion?
I will. We've been doing this plan for 25 years, and we have not budged once in the 25 years. We've held everybody to restrictions, and it's the most restrictive zone in the community. And there are items here that, quite frankly, still don't meet what the town center was planned to be. And so, you know, it's not a negotiation on town center. All the developers have come in, they've done what we want, what we ask, and I'm sorry, but this time I'm not voting for this because it's the town center district. If we do this, we violate all the restrictions that we put on everybody for the last 25 years, and I'm just not going to do it. We've had people come in with good plans, and there's vacant land out there, and we held firm on that. And I'm sorry, but we've kind of sent you that message that it's a town center district, so it's got to be up there. So I'm going to be voting no.
Anyone else?
I just, can you talk, Kevin, a little bit about some of the design restrictions and how this project either complies or doesn't comply with the?
Well, I mean, the part of the problem with it is that it has, by its nature, one side of the whole building's doors. I mean, that's by its very nature. That's the nature of the project. The town center plan, as Councilor Gill said, has the most restrictive design standards available, And I believe we have talked to the property owner about that, and you know, we don't, as a staff, believe that it meets all the criteria that the town center district is required to meet. There, you know, some of the things that are preferred are residential style 1 to 2 story type buildings. This would not be that. They're obviously it's brick and stone as the primary thing here. We have some brick, but we have some cement board siding. We have a bunch of doors here, and so I don't. We have discussed this with the developer regarding the design standards, and we don't. You know, the design even for a PUD, these are long buildings with monotonous designs, and that's something we, even on big buildings like 808 in the town center, or down at Old Town, we've made them break up the buildings with architectural features and things like that. This is just, the problem is this type of project's really not ever going to meet the town center design guidelines.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you were concerned about flooding there and. Yeah.
Because I would like to. No, I'm not, because I raised the ground up almost 4 feet to bring it out of the flood zone on that 1.5 acres that is buildable. The rest of it is designed to flow through there and back to the crib. Does it answer? As far as what Kevin is saying about the buildings, that's incorrect, and what Jim has mentioned about the fronts of the buildings, that's also incorrect. They're 65% brick, even on the fronts of those buildings. The ones with the doors, it's all been figured in because that's what the city asked me to do. The only difference is they went further. They went more than what the city told me I had to do to meet the criteria that we're talking about. The gabled roofs, okay, they're all gabled. They've got 2 sets of fire systems running through there, or 2 pipes. They have to be that tall to get through there. The next thing is the parapet wall I have to put on the office to make it look like a 2-story building. Kevin just mentioned that. I met that. Exceeded it, bricking the entire thing. The ends of the buildings are not partial, they're complete now. 100% brick. It doesn't matter to me to go the other 30% brick on the, between the top of the garage door and the roof, that's fine. I've got 1.5 years in this and a substantial amount of money, which is beside the point. The point is I've exceeded, not met, exceeded everything that I've been asked to do. The code is predominant. To me, that was 51%, but then I was told that wasn't predominant enough. Go 100%. So we'll go 100% on every building. Faces with the garage doors. Can't do the garage door, obviously, but we can do the trim. We've already worked that out with Pella Building Systems out of Pella, that they will cut and they will make it work. They'll put it in there. They've done it before, and we'll do it here. The ends of the buildings, whether it's facing west or east, we're going to do 100% from top to bottom. If they want me to put trees, or if I need to put trees on the backside, which was new going into the planning and zoning meeting, fine, we'll put trees. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to put 100% brick all the way along and then cover them with maple trees is what I chose. I didn't go after some cheap tree that's not going to look nice. I went, do maple. Who's going to argue with that? But if we have to brick the whole thing, so be it. It's not going to make that much difference in the end. It doesn't change your overall cost so much that it changes the way somebody's going to look at it. We're not looking at a 7-acre tract down there that you're going to see from Second down here at 6th. You're looking at a little sliver behind King's. That's all it is. Geisler's not going to sell UCC unless you give him $4 million for it. I know him. What's King going to do? I don't know. I don't know why they would move. So we're talking about something that may never happen anyway, but my project is here that met everything I've been asked to do and exceeded it. I've done this for 1.5 years, and I've done everything that I've been asked to do. No, I'm not worried about flooding because we've already taken care of that.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council?
Well, just so I'm clear, is the issue the type and style, or I should say the type of structure, or how the structure is
I think there's both
Yeah.
issues. I mean, the issue is the appearance, but it's also the use and whether that fits the planning. So it's not just the appearances themselves, but also the uses.
It has to be consistent with the neighbors too. I mean, we've got one parcel, but doesn't it say that it has to be a unified?
Well, that's the goal of the.
The goal
that's
of the plan is to
plan.
unify, yeah.
You know, this has been 25 years, and it took us 20 years to get the 808 development done. It's not the problem is this plan wants you to look at the zone as a whole, not as a piecemeal.
Not the piece, the whole.
Yep.
Right.
And I think, Mark, I mean, to me, that's where the rub is a little bit. I mean, I think if for a storage facility, they look nice. I mean, probably too nice. I mean, just to be honest. So it's more the issue of, should that be in that spot? I mean, if you could do something like that somewhere else, I'd be all for it. It's the storage units in, whether it be you or any type of storage unit in that spot, given kind of where things have been laid out, you know, I hear what you're saying, given who the neighbors are in that area. I mean, I think when we're thinking about, we always have to kind of have one foot into the future as well, kind of thinking from that standpoint. So, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I feel like from a design standpoint, they're nice. I mean, I just don't know how nice you could make, for me, a storage unit for that specific location, if that makes sense.
I agree with Mitch. It is location, and I do have had concern over the past year as we've heard about your project, and we have extended a negative interest in this project, and yet that it has come to this now, a vote. I do feel badly that you've worked so hard on this, and I hope you can put it somewhere in the area, just not there, yeah.
Yeah, and I hear and appreciate all of the effort, and it sounds like you have worked really hard to try to meet these standards. They're very strict, they're very stringent, and I do appreciate all of your work, but I do, I do have concerns about the flooding, and just, this is kind of a unique area with those restrictions, and like you said, we've been discussing this a lot. And I'm just not sure that it's the right project for that specific area.
Okay. Make it brief, please.
I will. My name is John Wagner. I'm an attorney. We have offices in Cedar Rapids and Amana, Iowa, and we've worked with Mark on different projects over the years. One of the things that I learned, I was a zoning administrator myself for many years, and one of the things that I always tried to make sure that we focused on was the best use of a particular property for a location. And I assume that all of you have gone down there and gone south of Kings and where this is located. You talked about a consistent use with what is already there. The buildings to the north and to the east are almost dilapidated in condition. This would be brand new construction. Everything on the Clear Creek side of this to the south, it is timber. It is brush and scrub trees. And I'm not sure, I mean, you have a beautiful facility from here on east, and your town center and all of that, you're to be congratulated for that. But it's difficult for me to ever imagine that you're going to build that type of facility within a few feet of Clear Creek, even though we put the fill in that you have. The other thing that is concerning here is P&Z has completely vetted this and provided this council with a recommendation vote of 6-0. And a lot of the background work, a lot of the detail work comes with my client's work with P&Z, and then we get to this point in time after providing all of the details and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and come here and receive the reception that we have so far. So that is concerning. One last thing that is a concern is while we are hearing some restrictions from some of the city administrators, we are getting, on the other hand, a request to purchase that in emails from the city. And not sure you can do both of those. That's a concern. And it comes close to a taking. So that is something that we will address sooner than later, but I realize you have a job to do. We respect the job you have to do, but we are very, very concerned that we have done the extent of the work that we have with P&Z. We've gone through that process, and based upon the preliminary comments, we may have an opposite result of what we had at P&Z when we had a 6-0 vote. Not sure I've ever quite seen that before.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing?
Yep.
I'm saddened, or I'm frustrated that what was not heard is that it not be consistent with what's there now, but with the plan that we have for the future. And whether anyone deems that as a good plan or not is not the issue, but we do not care for it to be similar to what is there now. We want to improve that area. So if that was, I heard that comment, and I just want to make that clear, and hoped that that would have been clear earlier on in this, that we have a future thoughts of walkability and all that was read here earlier for that area.
Anything else?
I guess I'll add to, oh, sorry, Megan.
No, you go ahead, Jill.
I just was going to mention regarding the offer to purchase, that was hopefully, since we'd kind of given feedback that this wasn't what we wanted to have there, we were hoping to give you a little bit of an out. You know, we weren't planning on building anything there, but that was for your benefit, not necessarily for ours. I just wanted to be clear with that.
Well put, Jill. Again?
Jim, can you talk a little bit about the discussion that occurred during P&Z? It says that, you know, there was the 6-0 vote. Can you shed some light on, you know, some of the discussion that happened at the P&Z meeting on this project?
I don't recall a lot of the discussion right off the top of my head, but I can tell you that I basically went through the same program that I showed you. We went through some of the design, we went through designs, we went through everything else. And the same, I gave them the same challenge that you folks were given tonight, is it's up to you to decide whether you think this is a good fit for this area or not a good fit for this area. There was discussion amongst them, pro and con, yes, but in the end, they all decided in their minds it was a good fit for the area.
Okay.
I'd just like to say that this council is very proactive. We've discussed this many meetings, and I don't know if sometimes people just keep thinking that they're just going to push this thing through, but we've had a lot of discussions on a lot of other projects that have come, and we've denied them. And when you're coming into the town center district, there's all kinds of restrictions. There were people that put extra dormers on their buildings. There's people that jump through hoops to do these projects, and they complied with what we wanted. And I'm sorry, but it's 25 years of this, and we've still got a plan, and we're going to stick to it. Thank you.
I would like to make another comment.
Okay. Very last comment, and then I'm going to call the question.
We wouldn't even be standing here if I wouldn't have went to Jim Kessler before I bought the land and said, what can I do with this land? Okay, I sat in his office with my one person with me. What can I do? Can I build a dog kennel? Yep, it's zoned for that. Can I build my shop down there? Yep, it's zoned for that. Can I build storage units? Yes, it's zoned for that. Called my attorney, find out if there's an easement. Yes, there's an easement. The seller didn't know that. So I bought the land because I was told by the city I could do what I wanted to do. As far as your comment regarding your 25 years, I wouldn't be standing here for 2 if that was the case, if I was given good, accurate information. Nobody told me about the Town Center District, or did I know about it at that time? I might have bought the land, but I wouldn't have sunk another couple $100,000 in it after I bought it. I would have sat on it, knowing that someday you guys want to develop it in a different way. Now I got a good investment for $150,000. I can sit on that all day, that's okay. But I can't sit on 400, what I got in it now. So your offer that you made to me was 100,000 less than I had in it then. That's not a beneficial situation for me. Now, if you'd like, we can all get out of this. I'm not sure how, but obviously there needs to be a different discussion than there was before I bought the land. That's why I'm dug in. Not that I think I'm going to push you around. No, I don't think that at all. Never did. I complied with everything that I was asked to do over the last year and a half. I've done everything that you are saying that a person needs to do to comply, and I've done that. I'm still being told no.
Mark, were you ever told that the council wasn't interested in storage units?
Not that the council wasn't interested in storage units. I think I've had discussions with Ellen Habel one-on-one where she was very direct with me.
Because that's what I'm confused with. Why did you continue after that point? After you knew like it wasn't, because I don't disagree that you jumped through the hoops. You did. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I mean, from our discussions that we had, it seemed pretty clear that this style of structure was not in the plan or wasn't agreement. So that's where I'm missing you somehow.
It's a good question, I think. It's a fair question. All your questions are. I'm not disagreeing or trying to be confrontation with you. I'm just trying to let you know where I'm coming from. I understand where you're coming from. How do we get to the same place? It maybe isn't with this project. But how do I not get hurt in the same time that you're not getting hurt? That's the question. The project already was done. It's how much. The only thing that I was arguing when somebody told me I had to brick this thing, I thought, I'm not going to brick that thing. Why would I do that? Right. Then I found out what this Town Center District stuff is. Then I found out it went into 09. But if you want to read another page from that same book, it says that you should give me tax incentives and that you should help me find financing for a different project. I think it's page 106 or something I found in there. Never heard about that. It's all my money that's gone into it so far. So when Ellen told me these things that I had to do, okay, fine. You say I have to be predominant, let's go 100%. That's predominant. No question about that. So I never was thinking I'm going to push my way through. I'll make sure I exceed what they want. How can they say no? I think that's logical enough. I wasn't trying to do something that I shouldn't do down here. Or I never would have put my neck out this far financially. So, does that answer your questions? I mean, I hope it helps you understand where I'm coming from and why I kept moving forward. Nobody told me, no, you can't do that. This is what you have to do. And if those were obstacles to stop me, the obstacles weren't going to stop me. Somebody saying, no, that's never going to happen, that would have. Thank you.
You bet. Roll call?
Gill?
No.
Dodds?
No.
Goodrich?
No.
Foster?
No.
Gross?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Item 9. Oh, the ordinance fails its first consideration, all nays. Item 9 is 1246 12th Avenue. This is Genesis Church. This is a project. First reading of an ordinance for a project located on 12th Avenue behind the Genesis Church that would allow a second structure to be built on the lot. Jim, Building Department and P&Z report, please.
Again, we're looking at a rezoning here. We need to rezone this property from R1 to an RPUD. There's already a house on this lot, as we refer to it as the Big White House. And what they want to do is put a barn structure on the lot to the west and a little bit south of this house. So in order to do that, we need to consider rezoning from an R1 to an RPUD. This is kind of a real rough sketch. I don't know how well, I guess you can see it pretty well. You're looking at a bunch of X's on here, because this is a very heavily treed lot, as you all know. These X's on here are marking trees that have to be removed in order for this to happen. I think there's in the neighborhood of 34 trees. I thought I'd seen once that there was like 56, but then on another sheet I'm looking at it and they're removing 34 trees. So I'm not really clear on which number they want me to use here, but at any rate, it's a great deal of trees that are going to be reused. And there is a list further, as we further go down, of trees that have to be removed and actually the diameter of the trees that are coming out. So, as we're looking at this, and maybe I can blow this up just a little bit for you so it's a little easier to see. This is the house that already exists. This is the entrance off of 12th Avenue, the parking that already exists for the White House, or the building that's already there, the Genesis Church building. So what we're looking at is all of this to be added. This is all concrete parking lot to be added. With extra parking for this lot, these are actually permeable brick pavers for parking as to help with some of the stormwater quality issues that need to be taken care of. So, and then this is the footprint of the barn that's going to be added there, which is 12,160 square feet footprint of this barn. So it's got a second floor, or a first floor, I'm sorry, and a 2,530 square foot mezzanine in the barn itself. The barn is intended to be used as kind of a recreational center for youth and kids, place they can go play ball, do something after school. That is one use that they have for it. I think that is a major use. They are putting this actual gymnasium floor in there. And then they have the mezzanine in there, which can be offices or can be used for other areas or other uses as well. So new sidewalk going all the way around the building, as you can see in this site plan. This is another little bio cell here for some stormwater quality issues. There's a door here, there's a door here, and stairways coming down from the upper level. The sidewalks are put in there to give people a hard surface path to a public way so that in the event of an emergency they can get out of the building. These are the same sidewalks that are put in there. This is just another picture, larger picture, maybe the footprint of the building and the elevations on it. As I said, it's 12,160 square foot in size with a 2,530 square foot mezzanine. The building itself, and I'll show you pictures of that later, is built like a barn. It looks like a barn. It's all red composite siding with a standing seam metal roof on it. So I will show you a picture of that later. But it's used, as I said, recreation area for kids after school. I've showed you the number of trees that need to be removed. And the amount of parking that's there, they have 13 parking places now, and they're going to put in another 58 parking places so that they will have 71 parking places total when they're all done by count that we have furnished to us here. While we're looking at this, I can tell you that some of the discussion that we had at P&Z, or that P&Z had, was if they add this much square footage to this building on 12th Avenue, and they're meeting now in this little the White House that's here, what if their church congregation really increases? So what does that do to the traffic along 12th Avenue? That was one concern that was addressed to P&Z. And Scott Larson, of course, comes to all the P&Z meetings, and you know, he said there was different things we could look at for that if that was a concern. There is enough right-of-way here that if we'd have to put in a turn lane, and we own all the land on this side of 12th Avenue, that's all city property. So if there had to be a turn lane or turn lanes put in, there was probably room to do that to help, you know, help with the traffic flow should it increase a whole lot more than it is. And to the north of this is a hillside Christian School, and they not only own the ground to the north of them, but they own all this ground behind them. So at this point, that would pretty much preclude getting a second access out of here. So the traffic access, unless they could work with Hillside to get an access out to Ozark, it would pretty much be down to improving the traffic situation on 12th Avenue. So we'll go through this. This is a reference notes of 34 trees that need to come out, that they're saying now will come out. There's some pretty good sized trees. If I can get to and this is just roughly going through it, but there's an elm here that's 18 inches, has come out. That is an elm tree. There's a 34-inch black walnut tree there. There's 18-inch cottonwood, black cherry trees, box elder trees. And these are trees that they're proposing to take out in the area where they're going to put the new building in. They still have a great deal of trees on the lot, however, and plan to put more in when they're through. So now we're kind of looking at their new landscape areas. I see they still have these trees here. See if we can increase this a little bit to see it better. They're putting in some trees here. They're doing headlight screening, of course, and planting all along here. And some of these are existing trees that are still along here. So this is kind of the landscaping plan that they have. They have landscaping around the building. And they still have existing trees that are on the lot. So even though they've taken out a lot of trees, the view from 12th Avenue and around the building, they still have quite a few trees in front of the new structure. So now we'll take a look at what the building looks like here. As I said, it's built like a barn. It looks like a barn. This is the exterior elevation, or the north elevation of the building, or the building that would actually be facing Hillside Christian School. This would be the main entrance to the bottom level. This is the exterior east elevation, or the elevation to the east. It would be facing, the only thing over there is Interstate 80 to the east. And there's a lot of wood over there, but it's to the east. South elevation, the elevation that would actually be facing to the south or be facing to the, actually it's kind of a gully behind them. There's a little stormwater detention area in that area behind them. West elevation, this is the elevation that would be facing to the west of the Hillside School. As you can see, it's all red with a standing seam metal roof. This is kind of just a dumpster location, the dumpster screening that they would build to the city standards, some more engineering. So I think that's what I have for a presentation for you for that, just the site plan, the look of the barn, the P&Z. Recommendation for this was 5 recommend for approval, 1 that did not. And the reason they did not recommend it for approval is they didn't think the big red barn fit in the neighborhood. It's just a big red building, and they were not, they would have been more happy to see at least a different color than the red. And follow up on that a little bit, I actually gave them that recommendation in some of my notes as well. That maybe it would be a little more palatable, but if it wasn't so red, maybe it would be great white with red trim or something like that. But the red is very predominant in this neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Item C is a public hearing on this rezoning of 1246 12th Avenue from the PUD-B site plan. I'll open a public hearing. Are there any comments this evening? Any written?
No written.
Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And Don, the first consideration of the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 2019-1013, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance the same being ordinance number 664 as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as 1246 12th Avenue from R1 Single Family Residential District to RPUD 2 Residential Planned Unit Development 2 District, is introduced for adoption first consideration by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion. I'm going to start with a question. Considering that the traffic and the comment that Assistant City Engineer Larson made about potential room for adding a turn lane should that be necessary, would that cost be assessed to the property that it would serve?
You would need to make that as part of a condition, I think, of the plan today, and attach standards to it if you wanted that to be paid for by them.
And when we do any PUD, we have a PUD development agreement that goes with that. Would be a condition we could put in that agreement.
Conditional, right?
Yeah.
From my perspective, if it's serving their property and the only reason we put it in, it would be a reasonable addition in my opinion. But council discussion.
I had a question. Is this the usage on this? Is this usage 24/7? What is the usage? The usage for the building.
Hours of usage, you mean?
Yeah, hours of usage.
Could you answer at the microphone? Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm Nick Katz, civil engineer for the project with Shive Hattery. I can't confirm the specific hours of use, but I know that material was supplied by the architect. But I know that there's a gym use and then a worship use, and they're not going to be used concurrently. And then I don't know it verbatim, but just the anecdotal discussion I had with Scott Larson was that the traffic wasn't necessarily a concern, considering it's predominantly going to be during off hours, at like non-peak hours. But it's to your comment, I don't know the exact hours of operation.
The question is because 12th Avenue is the major arterial.
Yeah.
And what is the impact on that street? You know, if it's just the weekends, that's one thing. But if it's
After school, 5 o'clock.
after school, 5 o'clock, that's the other
Pick
issue.
me up at 5, yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
If I could interject
Yeah.
a little bit into that. I think that the function for the recreational sport for kids is more or less an after-school thing, between after school is out and they get picked up or their parents get home or they have a place to go in that respect. And then it would, I would assume, have not only assume, I think we've had the discussion, it would have some weekend use as well.
Right. Right.
It also has the potential to be an assembly area for meetings and for events. I mean, it's big enough. They've never discussed that with us, but I would have to tell you that the size of the floor and the size of the building, it has the potential of being rented out for an assembly area as well. And as Nick said, that's true. They did say it would not be used for worship and the gymnasium. If it was used, it would be used either for that or for the recreational use of the kids.
So my concern, it's a nice barn and a nice place, but we've got to do some thinking about this because we've got bus routes going through there, school bus routes, and are we creating a real problem with traffic on that? Because that, quite frankly, we got First Avenue, we got 12th Avenue, and that's right by the bridge, and it's something we have to really look at.
And then, can you talk a little bit more about the parking? Again, you talk about maybe the potential uses for larger events, and if that is, in fact, one of the things that the building is going to be used for, and also for Sunday service, is there adequate parking? Because I'm wondering then if the parking will spill out into the residential neighborhood that's around the facility.
That is a possibility, that with an assembly use or with the church use, they would be short on parking. There's been discussion about working with Hillside Christian School to share parking, although, and I think the school was favorable to that, Christian school was favorable to that, although there isn't very much parking there. So what you're going to share isn't going to be a whole lot in terms of a big use. Or they could acquire some of the land that belongs to, behind them maybe, that belongs to Hillside Christian Church and have more parking there. They also have the potential, they have space on their lot for more parking, but that means just more trees coming down, and I don't think anybody would be very favorable to that issue as well. But yes, parking could become an issue.
To the parking, we've been working with city staff to find what is the most conservative required parking driver, keeping in mind the existing condition and the different uses. And then even with that being coordinated with city staff, we still are slightly overparked. And yes, there's ways to increase parking further, but we don't want to just add construction costs, take out trees, generate more stormwater unnecessarily. So we've tried to find a good balance for that.
Nick, what's the capacity of the barn if it's to be used for a worship purpose?
I'm not sure. You'd have to reference the architectural sheets.
I don't have a calculator, but you'd take the square footage and divide it by 5 probably. And then it's 1 per every 6, I believe. I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of if there are concerns about traffic and parking, to me it's gonna be more that use than, I just don't think there's enough kids that are gonna be, congestion. And most of those kids either will be walking or coming on bikes or, other mechanisms.
Carpooling.
Pardon?
Carpooling.
Or carpooling. So just, to me, if there is a concern, it's just probably from the worship Sunday capacity level, not from a recreational one.
I think any of those concerns you could spell out in the development agreement.
Yeah.
If you choose to move forward, we could, before the next or the third reading, we could.
Okay,
But
good.
but you it'd be good for you to outline for us what things you want us to talk to the owner or the developer, the church, whatever you want.
Is there a sample of the siding?
Yes.
We do have one. I had it at the work session. I think it's probably, we can still, you can see it later if you'd like, 'cause we do have, it's just a thick composite wood siding. It's, I think batten board style though.
I'm a civil engineer.
My impression is it's batten board style, like an old barn, where it's a
Yeah.
vertical thing with the batten between at the seams of the joints type thing.
I'm not worried about it being red. I lived just X number of doors down from it. The whole concept is it's the big white house, and everybody knows that, so it's going to be the big red barn. And, for me, it's just another way for the church to expand their mission.
Sure.
And I appreciate that, and if it's red and glowing, I'll deal with it, so I'm okay.
I think
Did we-
my concerns are primarily the traffic and the parking. The trees are not so much, are we replacing?
We've got the roundabout now, Tom.
Yeah. Littlest roundabout in Iowa. But anyway, the trees, we're replacing trees for the ones that are
Not
missing,
tree
right?
for tree, we're not,
Right.
because of the.
And
because
so
it's-
we're getting rid of box elders and,
We're getting rid of
these are all
cottonwood, something like
scrub
that.
trees, so we're
Yeah.
gonna benefit with the trees. So, again, it's traffic and parking is my concern.
We can,
Lori,
we can,
you
Yeah,
had comments?
I was thinking there was a third one. I was trying to name the.
Okay, so
three.
traffic, parking, and it
And
wasn't
what
color,
was-
I think maybe trees.
Yeah, I guess.
No?
we can figure out the different parking requirements for the different uses of the building for you. and give you
Okay,
that
the
information.
turn lane.
Well, that'd be
Is
under
that-
traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as long, because I don't have any problem with the color or the usage or anything like that, but I think as long as we move forward, we get some definitive and answers and a lot of clarification about the traffic and the parking, I would be fine with that.
So
I assume the neighbors have been notified of this, and we
The
haven't
one-
heard from any of them.
The ones said they meet adjacent to them, yes. It's within 200 feet, so it's probably 1 or 2 of them at most.
And Nick, sorry, I thought you were the architect, not the civil engineer, so that's why. So disregard my questions. Why would you know that stuff? Yeah.
So as currently written, if they wanted to use it as a wedding reception gathering space or something like that, a meeting space like that would be permitted.
It
We would
would
have
be-
to restrict
yeah,
it
it
if we
would be
didn't want it
per-
that.
it
I'm
would-
not saying I'd want to
Correct.
restrict it.
It would
but-
be permitted, and I think, you know, since both of your issues are more, the questions that have been brought up are in regards to parking and traffic, I think the logical thing would be put use numbers in the
Right.
development agreement that says you can have this many people using the facility for different
Okay.
purposes, and you could even, it's up to you, you could provide a provision that if they can provide other parking, then the number could go to something else, but I think those would address those two items, and that would be something you would put, I think we should put in the development agreement so that if there is a problem 5 years down the road, you come back to the development agreement and enforce that.
Yep.
And the cost, maybe the third thing was the cost of the turn lane,
Okay.
should it be needed.
When we give you the different occupancy loads, that's a direct, the parking's a direct result of whatever the occupant load is, so you'll get both, so you'll know how much you need for the different uses.
Okay, so we can take action tonight,
Right.
and
Work through it.
we'll work on it the next two readings.
And one thing that is, they can do, which, I mean, if the neighbors agree that Hillside School, I mean, they can put a physical agreement in writing as well to that effect, which they should do if that's really the intent.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Gill.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes. Thank you very much. Item 10 is Lot 1, Cedar's third edition. This has been deferred to the next meeting. No, just kidding.
It is late.
After you waited all night.
No, this, Jim, as previously, this is a project located on Heartland Drive and to the west of Taco Bell, and it's for professional office use. Jim?
Okay, thank you. You're correct, this is Taco Bell location right here, Heartland Drive. Over here is where the new Mercy Clinic is going, so I'll give you the idea what the location of this is, although I'm sure everybody knows where Taco Bell is. This is a proposed office building by Dr. Y. To add an additional building to Lot 1, rather than divide this large lot into two lots, the choice is to put the second building and have the lot remain as one lot, which, other than it being in the West Land Use area, would require it to be a PUDB site plan to begin with. So, anyhow, so what we have here is a footprint of the building. Each level of the building is 10,600 square foot in area. The ground level of the building will be divided into two professional uses, as will the top floor be divided up, or could be one large professional use. As you can see here, he has two entrances. One is a combined entrance and actually an easement agreement with the Mercy Hospital to use their entrance off of Heartland Drive down here on the south portion of the lot. The other entrance he has on the north portion of the lot is with this two-way access drive that goes between the Mercy Clinic here, Taco Bell, and actually comes over here and connects to the Mercy Clinic as well, and on this side connects to Heartland Place. So there's actually two physical traffic entrances to this lot, one here, one here. This entrance here is actually an entrance to an underground parking garage underneath the building. And he has the parking around the building. So as we go through this, and I'm going to try to go through this enough to where we can actually have a better explanation of what we're looking at here. Trying to get two pictures of the building here, so bear with me. So I will blow this up so you can pretty much see this better as well. But as we're looking at the elevations of the building, on the south side of the building, or the Heartland Place side of the building, the ground falls off to the north in order to make this building be 1 story on the Heartland Drive side, and 2 stories on this access drive or the north side. So on the south side, it's a single-story building. On the north side, it's a 2-story building. And these are different elevations of the building showing that. The bottom elevation here that I want to show you is actually the north side of the building. And we have the drive aisle over here to the building, but also this is showing you the entrance to the garage. So you actually have 2 garage doors there, which is rather nice, because that way you have an in and an outdoor, and you don't have people head to head as they're coming in or going out of the garage. So I wanted to show you these pictures because it's an easier idea to get a hold of, or get a sight of what this building looks like. And these are the building materials that we have in the building. We have stone, we have some hardy plank, we have metal. This is the glass or the glazing on the building. This is actually just elevations of the dumpster enclosure. But this building is in the West Land use area, and with the combination of uses it has on it with the brick, the siding, the glazing, and the metal, it does meet the requirements of the design guidelines for the West Land use area. So backing up into the building again, this is the lower level garage, parking garage. There's 22 parking spaces in the lower level of the garage. And then actually 46 more stalls on the exterior of the building. This is how the garage, or how the building lays out. This is actually tenant space. And tenant space, as I said, it was divided on the floor. I didn't mention the fact that there is an elevator that goes from the garage on the north of the building, goes from the parking garage to the second story of the office building. So there is an elevator in there. Unfortunately, you can't get to this elevator if you come in this entrance. You have a stairway going up to the second floor. You do not have the elevator. Therefore, as we go back through here, I'll keep going back and forth for you because it's easier to see. But as you go back through here, you have a sidewalk that goes all the way around the building that will get you to the entrance where the elevator is. There's handicap parking on this side. Predominantly, there's handicap parking on this side. So that you can, if you are handicapped and need the elevator, you can park over here. There's also a handicap parking here, so that if you do have to go around the building, this is actually going to be ramped for handicap access. So if you are in a wheelchair, if you're not in a wheelchair, you can go down steps. If you aren't, you can go down a ramp and get to the front of the building. In here, you can see your outdoor parking spaces, your 46 spaces that you have outside. Trying to get back. This is actually just a fire truck exhibit. Turning radius, it's been checked out as well. And I've lost my way here, folks, so bear with me. This I've shown you, this is just the floor plan of the building. Parking area, parking lot underneath it. So I thought I had a picture. I could show you both floors of the building, but I guess I can't. So let me see if I've covered everything I want to cover with you anyhow. As I say, the bottom portion of the building will be 2 doctor's office in the first floor of the building, utilizing 4,900 square feet of that. The remaining 5,710 square feet and the 10,360 square foot on the second floor are combined for future space for use as professional office use. The parking count is based on this all being professional office use, and actually having two doctors in here, 2 dentists in here, which decreases the amount of parking you need a little bit beyond what you need for just strictly professional office use. But that's how the parking count is built on this building. So this building was on the P&Z the other night as well, and recommended for approval by the council by a 6-0 vote.
Thank you, Jim. Item C is the public hearing on this PUD site plan for Lot 1, Cedar's 3rd edition. I'll open the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. Since you were joking with me, maybe I should joke with you about the efficiency of your meetings. My name is John Y. I am the building owner. I'm going to keep it brief because, like I said, it's been going along quite a while. For clarification, with one thing Jim said, it sounded like you couldn't access the elevator from either floor, but you can. That you have to go through the corridor on the main floor to get to the back of the building.
Okay.
Unless it's a single use, but then if it's a single use, it'll come right up into your building. So it is accessible. Hopefully it'll be all professional and medical offices. I don't have a lot of tenants because I'm waiting to get through tonight before I start marketing this building. One thing I would like to bring up and present to the city clerk is on our PUD 1 that was the Taco Bell PUD. There was a monument sign near the west entrance, and it wasn't on the submittal you got, but I have the plan for that. And the other thing I would like to state that as a medical office, it's fairly easy to get to the West Land Use standards, and hopefully I find out how much this is going to cost me on Friday, and that's a little scary. But the Taco Bell I had a little more sticker shock, and at least I'm prepared for a little sticker shock. But since I've done the first building, and now we've had a few more, but I certainly would expect the rest of the West Land Use to meet the same type of standards that I'm meeting, so.
So do we.
And I understand that from tonight's discussion. Let me present this to the city clerk, and I'm here if you have any questions, and I have my consultant, Kirk Logan, with me as well.
We'll make sure the sign gets in the development agreement.
Any other comments from the audience? Any written comments? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. And the ordinance, Don?
Resolution
I'm sorry.
approving the PUDB site plan for Lot 1, Cedar's 3rd Edition, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Thank you very much. Moving along to item 11, Hawkeye Ready Mix Demolition Phase 1. This is for the demolition, removal, disposal of structures and concrete areas and placement of clean fill and topsoil at the former Hawkeye Ready Mix site along First Avenue. The quotation report?
Not here. We did receive 7 bids on this for this demolition, and Chad Freeman Construction was the lowest bid by a couple $100 for in the amount of $54,700. It's in the resolution. I didn't
Okay.
put it out in the resolution, but that's the
Okay.
amount. It ranged from 54 to almost 200,000.
Wow.
So we had a large range of bids, but we also had a large bidder pool also, and so we will get started. The asbestos is out of the building, so we'll get started on it as soon as the 10-day notice gets put in.
Great. Resolution, Don?
Resolution accepting quotations and approving a demolition services agreement with Hawkeye Ready Mix Demolition Phase 1, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion?
The one thing I would remind you that this is not 100% of the site that'll be demolished, because we're still working with an engineer in regards to the south part of the project, because there's some underground caverns and et cetera, and so they're working with us on suggestions of what we should do with that part of the property.
Roll call?
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution's approved, all ayes. Item 12 is intermediate flow trails. This is for the cleaning and development of intermediate flow trails between Creekside Cross to the backyard trails, and will be financed with $50,000 budgeted in reserves and the rest paid from the forestry budget. Quotation report.
Yes, we received 2 bids on this. Backyard Trails was the low bidder at $58,951, and Trail Source was $86,039.02, and so it was recommended to go with Backyard Trails. This is a first of this type of project for us, and the city staff did contact others that had used them. Lynn County Conservation and City of Cedar Rapids were the closest, and they gave us a positive recommendation for Backyard Trails.
Okay. Resolution, Dodd?
Resolution accepting quotations and awarding contract for intermediate flow trails from Creekside Cross to Backyard Trails, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank our Park and Rec Commission and our Park and Rec Department, because this is really another feather in our cap. You know, we've got all kinds of different types of trails and facilities that you can use biking for, and some of those can also be used by hikers and others. And it's just really very cool that we have all these different types of facilities to use, and they're really working hard at studying and looking into all of these different options. And I think people are really starting to take notice of that because we're getting people from outside the area coming in just to use these. And the Cross Park is only one of 3 in the state, and I think this will fit right in with that. So,
Can you explain what a flow trail is?
yeah, what it's designed to is it goes down a hill through trees, and what you're intended to do is you bike to the top and you get to full speed, and then you don't pedal the rest of the way. You can go all the way to the bottom without having to pedal. So pedal or brake. So you have to be obviously know a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll try that.
We're becoming a mecca of bike trails, and
We
so,
are.
and I appreciate the Gazette's article
Yes.
this weekend.
Mhm.
Yeah, good.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. Item 13 are 4 items, separate items, all related to construction in the Iowa River Landing on either 9th Street or East 2nd Avenue, all in preparation for road construction surrounding the new arena project. So with that said, Don, resolution number 1, please.
A resolution accepting bids and awarding the construction contract for the Iowa River Landing Improvements Project 2019 for East 9th Street, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Close, but I'll give it to Dodds this time. City Engineer Dan Holtness, did you think you'd like to tell us what this is? or-
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bids were received on this project on September 10th. We received 3 bids for this project. The low bid was received from All American Concrete of West Liberty, Iowa, in the amount of $2,795,666.60. And this bid was 4% below the engineer's estimate for the project. And so we've worked with All American in the past, they're a great contractor, and we got a good price, and so we heartily recommend award of the contract.
Just briefly, what is the project?
This project is the East 9th Street project, and it will do improvements on the south side of East 9th Street between First Avenue and Quarry Road, which is a roundabout in front of the Marriott. And we'll be putting in medians, and we'll do the other half of the roundabout at East 9th Street and East 2nd Avenue. So that will be created into a full-scale roundabout, and we'll do parking stalls and landscaping improvements along that corridor as well. Again, and as the Mayor mentioned, in anticipation of the arena opening next year.
Great. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Excuse me, just
Yep.
one, we would just like to amend to make note that this is subject to the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics signing the agreement for their portion of the cost. We do have an agreement and a draft from them which was acceptable. We just need for them to sign that as well.
Okay. Will that be true of all?
That would be C as well.
C as well, okay. With that amended addition, roll call?
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Resolution B,
Resolution approving the contract and bond documents for the Iowa River Landing Improvements Project 2019, East 9th Street, introduced Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
second by Goodrich. Dan? B?
This is a bond.
This is just the
This
same.
is the
Oh,
bond.
I'm sorry, contract and bond, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's getting late, I'm getting tired. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Okay, resolution is approved, all ayes. Item C is, Don?
Resolution accepting bids and awarding the construction contract for the Iowa River Landing Improvements Project 2020, East 2nd Avenue, introduced for adoption, Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster.
Thanks.
Yep.
So, we're on item C. Okay, bids were taken on this on September 10th as well. We received 3 bids for this project as well. The low bid received was from Ports and Construction of Dubuque, Iowa, in the amount of $2,199,924.70. This bid received was 15% below the engineer's estimate, and so we would recommend award to Ports and Construction.
Very good. Any discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes. And finally, item D.
Resolution approving the contract and bond documents for the Iowa River Landing Improvements Project 2020 East 2nd Avenue, introduced by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes. Item 14, I-80 and First Avenue interchange. This is a resolution for an agreement to design a grade-separated pedestrian and bicycle path through the entire interchange for the I-80 First Avenue interchange improvement project.
Resolution approving amendment number 2 to the professional services agreement with H.R. Green, Inc. for Interstate 80 First Avenue interchange improvements, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Any discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes. Item 15 is the Bridgewater Subdivision Part 2. This is a resolution that accepts the remaining lots in the subdivision for lots 6 through 15 and lots 23 through 48 inclusive. Don?
Resolution accepting municipal improvements constructed on the remaining lots of Bridgewater Subdivision Part 2, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion? Roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 16 is the West Land Use Area connection fees. This is a resolution for the West Land Use connection fees, which are in the amount of $49,468 for a 2.4 acre lot.
Resolution acknowledging payment in full of the West Land Use Area connection fees for Lot 6, Coral Crossing, 6th Edition, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. 17, Street Finance Report. This report itemizes the allocation of funds used to construct, repair, and maintain city streets.
Resolution approving the fiscal year 2019 annual street finance report, introduced by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Ooh, that was real close. Seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 18 is the Governor's Traffic Safety Contract. This is the city's annual contract with the GTSB for a grant to enforce the laws of our community, traffic laws of our community.
Resolution approving an agreement with the Governor's Traffic Safety Bureau for Police Traffic Services, introduced to adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 19 is the assignment and amendment of a lease that will turn over the lease for rental space at B104 in the Iowa River Landing to Diamond Bridal Ventures, LLC. Don?
Resolution approving that certain assignment and amendment of lease between the City of Coralville Brides by Jessa LLC and Diamond Bridal Ventures LLC, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gill. Would you like to explain this?
Yeah,
a little?
I've had a couple of questions on this, so I'll just explain. Both businesses will stay in business. There will still be a bridal store, and then there will also be a jewelry store. It's just that the jewelry store owner will be taking over ownerships of Bride by Jessa and operating both businesses. So She does intend to connect the two businesses internally, but there will be two businesses there, and she will continue on with the leases.
Great. Thank you. Any other discussions or questions? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes. Item 20 is right-of-way acquisition. This resolution will allow the city to acquire certain right-of-way for the missing connection between the west and east terminal points of West Core Drive.
Resolution of an intent authorizing the acquisition of property interest for the West Core Drive Extension Project, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion?
Yeah, this is something that we've discussed with council for some time. There's two streets that are meant to connect, and the middle is missing, and we've tried multiple times. One of the two landowners is in agreement with that connection. The other one is not, and so that's why we'd be going through this process. Recently, we've had some complaints from businesses and employees on the west end of the street because the train has been blocking the entrance, and it's been at peak times of travel, and they said that they have sat there for up to 45 minutes not being able to gain access to their business. And so not only do they have concern that they're not being able to gain access, but if there was an issue of emergency use needs at in those businesses, their concern was about that. So I think this would also address those concerns that we've had recently.
Would this result in a way for us to recoup the cost if we have to do eminent domain, or?
Well, that could be included in if we had to go through an assessment, and that would be left up. Our first discussion is the one property owner would voluntarily participate in the paving of the road. So it would just be whether or not the other landowner would participate as well, voluntarily.
Voluntarily, okay. I would hope we're not on the hook for it, so. Okay, roll call.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution approved, all ayes. Item 21 is Design Review Committee. Design Review Committee report. Who would like to present that?
I can do that, Mayor.
Okay.
This is for the old Helgett Medical Supply Building out on the Coralville Strip, and it is going to be redone by SK Cabinetry and Design, and Lori, or Councilmember Goodrich, and I met with Jim Kessler, our building inspector, and we went over the plans, and it's going to be a nice improvement, and we'll be able to fix one of those buildings up right along there. So I would ask for your approval to continue on with this project.
Thank you. Resolution, Don?
Resolution approving and accepting the exterior design plans for 1616 5th Street, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gill, seconded by.
Second.
No, close. Give it to Gross. Discussion? Roll
I
call.
would just note that the design was in our notes, so everyone did get to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looked good.
Mhm.
Roll call?
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Resolutions approved, all ayes. Item 22 is consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Move to approve the consent calendar, items A through Q inclusive.
Second.
Moved by Gill, seconded by Dodds. Any discussion? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Gill.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved, all ayes. Item 23 is City Engineer Road Reconstruction Report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All the through lanes are open on the three major transportation projects that were under construction this year. First Avenue, 6th to 9th, East 2nd Avenue and East 7th Street around the Latitude Building, and also the Coleridge Avenue project from Oakdale to Forever Green Road. The first two projects I mentioned, the First Avenue and the Latitude projects, are in punch list phase, where they're kind of finalizing things there. On Coleridge Avenue, they're working on some of the landings to get those completed. Again, all the lanes are open, and so we would anticipate they'll be in punch list mode here shortly, and so get everything done and cleared up before winter.
Terrific. Any questions for Dan? Any anticipation when Quarry Road will be, or the 7th Street will connect to Quarry Road?
This past weekend, we had the construction access that comes off of the east leg of the First Avenue 6th Street intersection. That construction access was realigned so that now it hooks to East 2nd Avenue that's on the east side of the Latitude building. And so all the construction access, all the construction traffic for the arena and the Staybridge Hotel will now be going up that section of East 2nd. And so with that being done, the old construction road can be torn out that was east of there and south of 7th to make way for the Keyway and the berm and the park rating, as well as the east leg of the East 2nd Avenue and East 7th Street roundabout. That east leg to connect down to the existing part of East 7th can be constructed now. So we'd anticipate that to be constructed in the next few weeks, and that connection will be reconnected to East 7th from First Avenue.
Super. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Item 24, City Administrator Report.
Yes, just to remind folks that this Friday is the free community meal from 5 to 7. So Friday the 27th, at Northwest Junior High. And also the Transit Department will be there with their with information on how to use the transit facility and an open house for them as well. So just remind people to come out, because those are a great opportunity to meet your neighbors. Also, on October 1st, Coralville is proud to be the sponsor of the Engel Prize. And because I can't read my writing, I'll ask Allison if she could just report on who won and who will be getting the award.
Actually, Kelly, I'm covering that in my comments.
Okay,
Yes, I'll get it. Yep.
And that's it.
Okay. What were I'm putting on my calendar? What was the hours of the community meal again?
5 to 7 on the 27th.
Okay. Let me just.
At the junior high.
The entertainment starts at 5:30, John.
Okay. Is that you? Okay, thank you. Mayor's report. I'm going to be very brief, just announcing some events that are coming up. The hazardous waste drop-off, household hazardous waste drop-off is Friday, October 4th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Aquatic Center parking lot. So this is your chance to bring one box of hazardous items you have under your sink or in your garage or down your basement. Next day, Saturday, October 5th, is Community Shred Day. That's 8 a.m. to noon on that Saturday in City Hall parking lot. A chance to bring unlimited number of cardboard boxes with papers to be shredded. And then lastly, second to last, the following week, October 7th to the 11th, is the Mayor's Fall Cleanup. So on the day of your regular garbage pickup, you can put items out for the Mayor's Fall Cleanup. And lastly, coming up with the Coralville Fire Department open houses, and I believe there's going to be a chili dinner that night as well. That's Sunday, October 13th. So the open house is noon to 4, and I think the chili, and that's at Fire Station number 1. It's both Fire Station number 1 and number 2, the open house. And then it follows up with a chili dinner.
At Fire Station 2.
At Fire Station number 2, with chili dinner. That's all I have. City Attorney report?
Oh, I've had enough. Kevin, do you?
I think I've said
Okay. Committee and council members report. Megan, would you like to start?
I have nothing.
Good.
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Mitch, keep a streak up. No.
Well, I'll use Megan's time. No. First of all, again, I think what I've been the most surprised about tonight's meeting is that both Shane and I were at the football game, and I thought we left about the same time, yet you beat me here. So I'm not sure who drove the speed limit and who didn't, but yeah, okay. But no, the couple things I want to just touch base. Yeah, so one of the great things that Coralville does is this, the primary sponsor of the Paul Engel Award. Paul Engel was a longtime writers' workshop professor. I think he might have been the founder. I'm not sure, but maybe not. He was not the founder. He was a professor. And we sponsored the award. I mean, it's a really prestigious award that somebody in literature can win. And this year's winner is a group called Cave Canem, and I'll talk about them in a second. But when I was teaching AP US history, probably one of my favorite units and areas to teach was the Harlem Renaissance, because in the 1920s, African American writers were being stifled and censored, and thus came this idea of the Harlem Renaissance, and our names like Zora Hurst and Langston Hughes and Claude McKay. I mean, all these great writers really came to be during this time. And again, that was 100 years ago. And in the 1990s, there were a lot of African-American writers and poets who were kind of feeling the same kind of, really struggle to break through. And this organization kind of became, I won't say a clearinghouse, but kind of a one-stop shop for African-American writers to submit their work. So when all these submissions for the Ingle Award were being given, many of these authors and poets said they were inspired and got their big break by Cave Canem. So then the award committee decided to give the award to this organization. So it's actually two people that are winning the award on Friday, or next Tuesday, October 1st. Toy Dericote and Cornelius Eady. And both are influential members of that organization. So it's a great event at the Coralville Library starting at 7. I'll be presenting the award to the winners, and the library staff will be there, and others. It's just a really good time to really, because I think a lot of times even us on this council have kind of thought about, gosh, what does Coralville get out of being part of UNESCO, and funding this, and this is a big piece of it right now that we sponsor this award. So it's a really it's a crown jewel moment of our city. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. When was it, a week ago? We had the Iowa State-Iowa game? 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks.
Yeah, because of Divide Week.
Yeah. And I was at the Convention and Visitors Bureau meeting last week, and Josh was giving some numbers. The Convention and Visitors Bureau said that there was 2.2 million viewers for the Iowa State-Iowa game. But here, for the cyclocross and the jingle cross, there were 11.3 million viewers. And he said that 0.3 were in the United States, the other 11 were in Europe. Mm-hmm. But that's talking about the cycling that's becoming so popular here. We've got a lot of people that are interested in coming into cycling here. And Josh was saying that he rides his bike and then he has it on a GPS. And now he's getting these international riders asking where the routes are in this area. So there's a lot of interest in this area in cycling. So I'd just like to reiterate that. And the other thing that public, our police and fire are kind of concerned with are the 80 Interstate 8380 building, and I just like personally say I'd like everybody to slow down and take it easy and watch where you're going on that intersection, because it's a busy intersection, and again I thank the police department and the fire department for all they do, and that's it.
Thank you. Jill?
I have nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Lori?
I have a little report from the Center for Performing Arts. They have received a $7,500 grant from the Community Foundation of Johnson County to support children's theater programming and a strategic planning initiative. And also the Christians opened for City Circle's 22nd season this last weekend and received excellent feedback. So they're doing well over there.
It was an excellent show.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gross, second by Gill. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you.